Chapter 42 Wonder. He wandered into town with Jack padding beside him. He was so relieved that it was spring, and he wanted to forget about the harshness of winter. It was better in the past. Tom was taking one day at a time, but it was much easier, knowing that he had 5 months of good weather to look forward to. But he knew he couldn't rest on his laurels. He knew he had to change from survival to prosperity. People noticed Jack everywhere they went. He was like a ray of sunshine. Tom happily tucked into his breakfast, and he passed Jack a juicy sausage which Jack gobbled up. When Tom had finished, he felt very full and patted his stomach contentedly. He knew that he was out of shape and he looked like Father Christmas, with his belly and growth of beard. When he was young, 100 years ago, he thought, he had been in the college athletic team, and he regularly ran 5 miles across country with ease. He had loved the freedom, but sadly now when he looked down, he wondered what had gone wrong. That's it, he said to Jack, it's time for a long walk. Jack's ears pricked up and his eyes sparkled. He could definitely understand. Tom unhooked his belt and hooked it round Jack's collar. He wasn't sure where they were going, but he knew they had to find some fields and greenery. They headed for the outskirts of town. Jack definitely knew something was up. He was panting heavily, his little legs were going 10 to the dozen, and eventually Tom read a sign which said, Meadow Fields. He hurried on as the houses thinned out, and the crisp grass carpeted his feet. This is lovely, he thought. There were daffodils lining his way with oak trees to guide him. Bees were buzzing and flying about like pilots around their ears. Jack was in his element. He was running and jumping around and Tom couldn't help having a chuckle. He felt like doing the same thing, but he was so out of shape that he didn't want to keel over. They decided to carry on walking. It was lovely not knowing where they were going. He decided to allow Jack off his lead and run wild, and he unhooked his belt, and Jack shot off in the distance with his little tail wagging furiously. Hello, viewers. Tom slowly jogged after him. His big belly was bouncing up and down, and after only 5 minutes, his t-shirt was dripping with sweat, and he was huffing and puffing like mad. The Fortunate Tramp by Jason William Lee on Amazon Co. UK. His knees felt heavy and it was hard to lift them up. But despite this, he was enjoying himself. He couldn't keep up with Jack, his little dog, no matter how he tried. Hello, viewers. He jogged for 5 minutes until they came to a stream. It dazzled in the sunlight and dragonflies whirled past him like mini helicopters. Jack jumped into the water. He was snapping at everything that moved and having a great time. Moisture flew off Jack in all directions as he shook himself. He looked delighted to be clean as a baby in a bathtub. Tom was sweating so much that he felt like diving in himself. Instead, he knelt by the river and put his hand in the cool water. It was a lovely feeling. He imagined the lives of the frogs and sticklebacks, all the fish he knew nothing about, all in their own private world and oblivious to everyone and everything above. They must be a lot happier than us, Tom thought, and he washed his face and hair in the water. Jack was padding about. He's doing well without swimming lessons, Tom thought. He was tempted to swim himself, but the one thing he was frightened of was rats. He'd probably have a heart attack if any rats came up to him. He sat on the river bank and took his shoes and socks off, and he let his feet hang in the water. He was cool on his toes. A few minnows swam around, and in between them, it was a lovely feeling. He felt like a giant in a foreign country. Jack bobbed over to him, and with a smile he shook his coat, sending water all over. Tom laughed. He was sure that it was deliberate. He got into the act and flicked water at poor Jack, who promptly jumped up and drank it in mid-air expertly. After a few hours, it was time to go. The sun was shining down and Jack rolled in the grass. His little tummy was warm from the sunshine. He was such a cute little dog, it was unbelievable. Tom whistled and Jack went over to him, looking pleased with himself. He waited patiently for his lead, and then they both walked slowly back home. It had been a lovely day and one which Tom was determined to repeat. He had the perfect reason to exercise and walk. They both needed it, and the beauty of it was that he had forgotten all of his woes, and they didn't seem as big. They finally got back to the church, and they were both tired out. Hope you enjoyed it. The Fortunate Tramp by Jason William Lee. More to come.